So, a brief agenda about me. We're going to talk about startups and potentially when you should start, or if you're talking about scaling teams or organizations or expanding your business, when should you start? I think the other thing is that there's no such thing as the perfect leader, and nobody has ever done it perfectly. And I think so. I don't claim to be. What I think I have got is observations around people where I've seen it do well and observations where I haven't seen it do so well. I'm going to talk a little bit actually about leadership through COVID-19. One of the questions we get asked quite a lot is, what would you do in this scenario? So actually, I don't know, your business is completely different to mine, but we'll talk through some of the traits that I believe could help you. And lastly, we'll do FAQs, or sorry, Q&A. So this is me. Here's me trying to look like a consultant. This is my stock picture when haircuts were legal. And I started life as a graduate of Reading University. I studied politics and international relations, which is the best degree you could possibly get for a career in corporate life. The next best thing I did was president of the Students' Union. For those who don't know, it's basically you're paid to be a student for a year and represent 10,000 students. And the great thing about it was it taught me a lot about business. Part of that role was the Students' Union had to generate revenue so it could do the nice things for students and look after people. So at the age of 21, I was responsible for a £4 million a year turnover business with 50 permanent staff. So it was quite exciting. Myself and you're effectively trustee of that charity and you're thrown in at the deep end. Sure, you've got some great people around you, but in terms of the training you got from people like NUS to make sure you didn't get sued, training you got from NUS to make sure you didn't go bankrupt, it was actually a great life lesson. So I did that for a year, and then I became a trainee contract recruitment consultant. It was amazing because I just got told what to do. Didn't have to think too much, just used to have to get on the phones. Originally for a company called Huxley Associates, who are brand at S3. I was top 10 in S3 for 2 years running. I was top manager in S3 for 2 years running. And then I had a pretty harsh reality when my whole team left me because they didn't like me. So that was probably my biggest introduction into leadership at that point. Having sort of gone through, done it, been successful, and then had a real setback. I was quite lucky because they put me into a role of commercial manager where I had very little interaction with humans. So it gave me the ability to really take stock and look at what I thought was good leadership. I progressed through to commercial director for the group. I looked after a team of about 35 people globally across 4 continents. And the exciting thing for me was I ran £400 million worth of the group's revenue on an annual basis. So again, you know, it was being an integral part of that group where I really learned how to potentially scale my own teams, but also watch what some really great leaders did in scaling their teams. In 2017, I was appointed investment director at S3, which meant a mixture of things. It meant that I was out there looking to invest in startup companies as part of our innovation fund. I was there basically building up our own propositions, and I'll talk about my experience in that because it's probably the most relevant to this discussion. And now in 2020, having left S3 last year in November, I've formed my own consultancy. So RecSpan is a consultancy that's designed basically to help recruitment companies start, grow, scale, expand, pretty much, if you like, bespoke consultancy to the recruitment business. Having done it, I know that recruitment consultants are a different breed. I'm not going to come in and take 3 months to understand and learn your business. I fully understand that when a recruitment consultant says something, what they actually mean. So those type of things I believe I can offer to firms. So that's what I do. So I wonder if anyone on the call has heard of this video product, Showcaser. No? Okay. The reason you probably won't have, because it was a startup that's no longer a startup. So Showcaser was one of the products that I inherited as S3's investment director. Effectively, we built a video product and I was parachuted in to say, well, it's not working. How do we get it working? And actually, one of the things that I found was that having been in a nice, comfortable corporate career where everything was done for you, everything was dictated, I suddenly had to build a tech business, and I suddenly had to recruit techies, and I had to effectively go out and sell a SaaS business, which I'd never done. Ultimately, in the end, it was probably the biggest learning experience I've had in my career, because nobody in the group had ever done it before. So we'd all come from this nice, safe corporate environment. But I probably learned more about myself, probably more about my teams in that time than in that last 2 years than I did in the first 18. So what did we do? Well, in 18 months, we were quite successful. We became the best newcomer in the Recruitment International Awards. You'll see there, there's Donna presenting the in-house recruitment awards to BP with Matt Williams, I think hosted that one. And, we just built an amazing piece of tech with a great team. We'll talk about the sort of, as a founder, what you have to do. I ditched the nice suits and I suddenly started walking around in jeans, t-shirt and a hoodie. If you're in that environment, you have to do it. But yeah, probably again, playing all of those various different roles, and we'll come on to talk about doing it. So a lot of you will be sat there right now thinking, okay, when should I start thinking about starting up? Or when should I start thinking about growing? Or when should I start scaling? And there's an ancient Chinese proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So you can always wait and wait and wait. But ultimately, if you're going to do it, the quicker you do it, the quicker you'll get to where it is you're looking to achieve. So my advice to you is, it's a weird situation right now that I think a lot of people will be coming off a very, very different base. So although it might be scary times, I think very much everyone's going to have to start again in the next few months and year. So actually, it's probably not a bad time to either start, grow, or scale your businesses. So this is another lovely phrase you get around the startup community. It's one of these things that probably someone will post on a meme on LinkedIn to give you inspiration as we go on in the coming weeks and months. But actually, it's the difference between one space. You can look at opportunity as nowhere, or you can look at opportunities as now here. And that's actually a really, really powerful of doing it. If you have better PowerPoint animation skills than me as well, you can deliver that in a much better way as well. But a really good example of why opportunity is here is you only need to look back to, and I generally have ripped this off of LinkedIn, the firms that started in and around the last global downturn. Now, I believe I've been lucky or unlucky enough to have gone through 4 significant downturns in my career. And what I've seen is that things have come back differently, and in many, many ways, they've always come back bigger. So if I look here at the various different firms that started up, think about how much we use WhatsApp now. Think about how much we use Instagram. If you don't use Slack, you should. And all of these things were born out because the big incumbents, they just couldn't survive it, or they just weren't as credible. And best ideas flourish in environments like this because no one cares, or no one changes things when everything's going well. But when people have to change and they have to get scrappy sometimes, things come out of that. So think of that next time you take an Uber or send a WhatsApp message. So my observations. As a startup, or if you're starting a team, it's all about you. And that's it. Pretty much, RecSpan as an international organization is me. And at that point, it will start as me. So when I'm delivering materials like this, then it will start about me. And as I start to build the business, understand my proposition, the challenge for me will be that how we keep that narrative and how the brand really moves on. So if you like that, it doesn't just rely on me. Okay, it's not. I won't be a single point of failure. But at various different points, you will need to understand when it's all about you, and gradually have plans for when it's not. If people are looking to buy into your business, or people are looking to join the business, they're looking to join potentially a team. They're looking to join potentially a company. Investors are looking to invest in the business. They're not looking to invest in you. Otherwise, they'd just hire you. So I think it's really important to understand that at the very, very start, you are the investable thing because you're tied in. But gradually, how do you make sure that your business, and Laura, it was almost a sub to our article around planning for an exit. So very much at the start, or very much around growth, and things can change. Don't always get rooted to it. But where am I going? What am I doing? And what does the end of the journey potentially look like? And then you need to understand what the shape of your business or the shape of your team or the shape of that division would look like, and where you as a leader fit, and potentially how you as a leader can pass on the baton and exit. Now, the other thing is startup leaders need to adapt to play roles. So, as I say, I had a very interesting 2.5 years experience in my last role. So as investment director, I was part of a big corporate. So I had a split role. I was effectively co-founder and CEO of Showcaser, and I also had the investment role at S3. So on the one hand, the investment role in S3 was amazing. So we had terms we want to set up. We had a legal department. If I needed to bring in salespeople, I could bring in salespeople. We had someone to run our accounting systems. It just came as natural. If you wanted advice on taxation, we had an amazing tax director. And all of those things were just a given. So if you live in a nice corporate space, they're an absolute given. But when you're a startup, actually, if you want to know about tax, well, guess what? You've got to go and find out that information, and potentially you've got to hustle it. You've got to go and speak to people you know, because, or you've got to research it yourself, or you've got to, or you've got to pay for it. And startup leaders potentially are the marketing department, they're the receptionist, they're the sales, they're the support, they're the, so at various different points, you will need to adapt to play roles. And as your team grows, that will become less and less. But understand that, when you're in it for yourself to start with in the early days, you've got to do everything and you cannot be precious about it. Now, this is really, really important. If you take anything away from this, it's all about building great teams. If you want to start up then and scale seriously, the most important thing you can do is bring in great people. And I re-emphasize that pretty much throughout any of the answers I give. And what I mean by that is that you have to bring in people you can trust. You have to bring in people you can really rely on. And you have to bring in people that can be better than you. And actually, that's sometimes that's quite a difficult thing to do. It's probably the toughest thing in management is to manage people who are better than you at certain things. And actually, that ability to delegate, that ability to spot talent, and that ability to retain talent will determine how quickly you get to your goal. And you as a leader need to fully understand that I genuinely believe the most important thing you can do is think about how to build a great team. The other thing about leaders is they are clear on their goals. I think anybody who's clear on their goals is very, very powerful. And sorry, just went back there through. So being very goal focused and goal orientated will get you through a lot. It will get you through the doubt. It will get you through the troubles. It will get you through those difficult pitches. It will give your investors confidence. It will give your team confidence because they understand what it is you're doing. And that's incredibly powerful from any leader. And I think of the great leaders I've worked for, they've all been absolutely clear and focused around what it is we're looking to achieve. Now, goals can change, okay? And ways you can get there potentially can change. But genuinely, be clear, be focused. Right, next. Leadership through COVID-19. So I was asked by someone I used to work for, they're doing a webinar on Friday. They seem to be really popular, these webinars right now. It's almost as if, that no one can get out and meet each other. So we talked about what was important, and we've been through downturns together. Okay, we've been through a downturn where we lost maybe 30–40% of our business. And we've been through a downturn when we were doing brilliantly in 2001 and the dot-com crash happened. And we thought back to what our playbook was there. We thought about what worked and what didn't. And after we'd taken feedback from people, what was really powerful. And you can apply this now to growing your business, or you can apply it to saving your business, or you can apply it to holding your business. But follow these traits. Best leaders are the ones that are authentic. And what we mean by that is there's a whole number of things that come in terms of authenticity. The most honest thing you can do is be honest and actually be really clear about how you communicate with people. If you don't know what's going to happen, then be really clear. You don't know what's going to happen. And I think one of the frustrations that the public have right now is the government saying almost, we're getting there, it'll be okay, don't worry, we're on top of this. And it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to say, it's difficult for us. And I think you lose a lot of trust with people if, you're almost saying it's like the Truman Show, that it's all going to be fine. People don't 100% know that. But if you don't, just be authentic, say what it is you're doing, and communicate regularly. The worst thing you can do is not speak to people, because they'll come to their own conclusions about it. The other thing I advise any leader right now is be decisive. The only thing worse than a wrong decision is no decision. And again, to go back to that authenticity point, you know your business better than most. As a leader, you'll know that. You'll know the data and trust the data. If the decision is the right decision, take it and do it. Okay, you have the responsibility to your business, to your teams, to your families you support in some cases, to be decisive. And be decisive, take the decision. If it's the wrong decision in a month's time, it's okay. You took that in the knowledge. Hindsight is the most amazing thing. And if anyone develops a startup to bring in hindsight earlier in the decision-making process, I'll buy that right now. So be decisive. The other thing I say is be ready. At the moment, there's a lot of opportunity to be planning. And what I mean by that is be planning for what-if scenarios. So you could be planning for what if the market comes back, and when the market comes back, how's that going to look like? Where do I think it will come back first? And what would my strategy be for that? How will I know that it's come back? What measures will it be? Maybe it's you're furloughing staff. Maybe it's you've paused hiring staff. What are the points? What are the tests? A bit like the government 5 test. What are the tests we'll leave lockdown? Right, okay. When that happens, we know X, Y, Z will happen. So you can be both on a positive and also a negative. What if you lost your best customer? Okay, what's the plan around that? And it's a possibility. What if I don't get that invoice paid on the 28th of April? So you can scenario plan for a number of things that may happen. What shouldn't happen is these things that you could have predicted shouldn't be a surprise. And again, to go back to that, that will enable you to be authentic, and it will enable you to be decisive. Now, every one of your business is going to be different. But I would be saying, right, what happens if? And what are the 5 things that, are positive? And what are the 5 things that could be negative? How would you deal with it? Because what you don't want to be doing is thinking about how you deal with it when it's happening, because you will take emotional decisions and you won't have thought it through. But try and think about what could happen. And again, once you're in that, my ex-management coach always talked to me about cause and effect. If you've ever read about cause and effect, the great thing about cause and effect is it means you can't be a victim. It means that you basically are in control. And cause and effect means, what have I done, effectively to lessen this or to improve it? And the ability to replan and adapt. So when something happens, how you deal with it, and then being able to replan and change tack is incredibly powerful. So you as leaders need to be agile, even more so. And I've seen some great examples of companies that right now have said, well, this market's gone, okay, but this market's there. So how do we take what we have here and move it to there? And they've been agile and they've been pivoted. And again, that ability as a leader to replan and adapt it may have been your idea for a startup over the last 5 years, just doesn't look feasible right now. But you know, I've seen there's a really good guy I'm mates with who runs a consultancy. Now he's been doing this consultancy virtual for a good number of years, and actually this has spurred him into it. He's got no choice now, but he's repurposed it, he'll replan, and he's adapted. And again, that's a really good example of how you go about and do that. So that's my views. As I say, I'd like to say that I'm an expert on this. I'm not. I've observed it. I've made loads and loads of mistakes. If anything I can do to stop anyone making those mistakes and just ask the right questions, it's over to the Q&A. So Laura, I guess you're going to host this. So yeah, over to you.